Hello and welcome back to Masculine Academy channel, where we are helping men to become their best version emotionally, physically, financially and spiritually. Today we've got a special video about women who regretted following the feminism pathway. It is truly heartbreaking to see these women in their late 30s or early 40s regretting their previous choices. It is actually very clear that men and women have it totally differently when it comes to making choices early on. It is perfectly acceptable for men to delay their choices. It is not rare to see men 45 or 50 having their first kids. However, when it comes to the biology, women are at a disadvantage. It is very clear that the peak fertility for women are in their early 20s or mid 20s. Because of that, women have to contend with the choice of studying, the choice of finding the right partner, and the choice of having children when they are 20s or 30s. In the world of social media, a lot of women delay making the choice to find a long-term partner or delay the choice of having children because they are under the impression that the attention that they are getting in their early 20s or mid 20s will last forever. And I don't really blame them, because when every single day you have men jumping in their DM, men sending them messages or messages on dating apps as well all the time, of course that's going to alter the way they perceive themselves in terms of their value. But the decline is very steep, unfortunately. And the choice that a woman have when they are early 20s or mid 20s is totally different than when they are mid 30s.
And a lot of the time what happens is you're mistaking the playboy for a husband, and you're trying to marry a playboy instead of marrying a husband. And that's, a lot of women don't realize this. A lot of women don't realize this. And this is why you continue to have such horrible dating experiences, because you could be sitting there ignoring the husband material, ignoring the man that is already put you in his forever category. A man will sleep with you, hang out with you, Netflix and chill with you, and you are not his type at all, but he enjoys the sex, he enjoys your company, he enjoys the fun. And now as a woman, you've put this type of man into the husband material. They looked at the playboy and said, he just wasn't the one, he wasn't faithful, he wasn't ready to settle down. But Rebecca, as a matchmaker, I want you to find me the man who looks like Mr. Playboy, who wants to be loyal and faithful to me and committed to me, and find me my husband, but I want him to look like Mr. Playboy and act like Mr. Playboy. And that's when I stopped matchmaking.
It is very clear that there's a pandemic of delusion. Delusion because women are under the impression that the men that are sleeping with them will settle with them. But as highlighted by her, men have two different modes. One mode where they don't want to commit, they are there for the fun, and another mode where they are interested in a woman for long term. But usually men within 1 or 2 dates, they know exactly in which category they will put the girl. So if a man is not talking about long-term or commitment with you, then it's very clear that the man is not interested to be in a long-term relationship. And for the same reason, women are under the impression that they can secure these high-value men or these top athletes or these rapper or any type of entertainers. But it doesn't really work like this. It is not because a man sleeps with you that is interested in a long-term relationship with you.
And you're blinded to all the red flags, right? That he's really not consistent. He's already showing you he's not into you, right? But then here's the key, guys. This is when I stopped matchmaking. I've told you guys this before. I stopped matchmaking because I had a different standard for men than I realized that a lot of women had. A lot of single women have these standards that are crazy. And I met my husband, and when I was matchmaking, I realized that the women, my female clients, would have not even given my husband a chance. They wouldn't have dated him. Because my husband is a good man, a solid man, right? A strong man. I mean, my husband, but literally, it was like I realized that's not what a lot of these women are looking for. And I've done videos about this, about how women and their expectations of men have gotten so ridiculous.
I do believe that this is also linked to the culture. When you put on the pedestal a certain type of men, when you increase in status as a man by trafficking drug, when you increase in status by going to jail, when you increase in status by having different baby mamas, that is why these men are being treated like that. And the good men, the men that have the good values, that have a stable job, that are ambitious, that go to school, that study, that make a decent living, these men are being ignored because they are not the bad boy. They are not fun to be around. So it's totally crazy how the world is going at the moment, because men that are actually good men for a long-term relationship are being casted on the side. Men that are attractive because maybe they are the athletes, or maybe they are the rapper, or only for the reason that they are tall or good looking. They are the men that all women want to have. But the definition of insanity is doing the same thing and expecting a different result. So if at some point you don't realize that what you're doing is not conducive to long-term relationship, maybe it is time to think about it and change your ways.
And women have a tendency to go from one of these relationships to the next, to the next, to the next, because all you're going off of is who you like and who you're interested in. I'll tell you this, ladies, it almost doesn't matter who you like. It doesn't matter if you like them. Who likes you? Who's into you? Who is seeing you as you're there forever? Because like I say, as women, we get to choose who to date, but men choose who they marry. The man's putting a ring on it, not the woman. It does not matter who you like.
She's totally spot on this. And you will see it in the way men will behave around women that they are interested in a long-term relationship, and women that they just want for a little fling. All of that to say that feminism can lead you to dreadful results. If you don't make the choices, the good choices early on, then you can end up as these modern women that are late 30s or early 40s, asking what has happened to them. And as we discussed, you have to make these choices as early as possible in your early 20s or mid 20s, because women have to contend with much more early on in life. If you like this video, let me know by giving a thumbs up and subscribe for more similar content.
If you look across societies, women mate across and up socioeconomic status hierarchies. So a woman will date and marry someone who makes the same amount of money for her or more. All right. So, and that's true regardless of the egalitarian nature of the society. It holds true in Scandinavia as well. Because you might say, well, that's because of women's lower socioeconomic position. But you can equate for that and you don't get rid of the phenomena. So one of the things that's driving the aggregation of wealth into fewer and fewer hands is the proclivity of well-off women only to marry men who are as well-off as they are or greater. Men will marry across and down socioeconomic status hierarchies. So if we're going to enforce equality, does that mean that we don't allow women to marry men who are richer than them?
Jordan Peterson makes another amazing point. If we are to enforce equality between men and women, that means that we will force women to date and marry men that are below in terms of the social economic status. There's a trend of women that regret not making choices earlier, for the very simple reason that they can only date men that they perceive that are equal or above in terms of the social economic status. And that trend is accelerating. And this is why that by 2030, so in only 6 years, half of the women in America will be unmarried and childless. So the trend is accelerating. And this is correlated with the fact that more and more women today are studying in universities, are having higher degrees. As women are getting more degrees, as women are actually earning more money, the pool of men that they are attracted to reduces. It is actually interesting because it is totally opposite to what men experience. For men, the more money they get, the higher their social economic status, the more options they have because they can date more women and also women that are below in terms of the social economic status. The logical conclusion is that in the future, there will be a very small pool of men that can be attractive to women. You can already see it in dating apps. The vast majority of women are giving the attention to a very small minority of men. So when it comes to the future of relationship, what will happen if 90% of women are interested in 5% of men? Are we going to see the return of polygamy? Are we going to see a trend of women that decide not to settle and end up being single? This is a very tricky question and I want to hear your opinion about it. Let me know in the comment section below.
There's a huge feminist lie that you're going to be happy as if you have a career and if you are a boss babe and I don't want to be a pick me girl. That's not why I'm saying this. If you want to have your career, you go for it. But I noticed for myself that I was doing that against my nature.
It is very clear that careers for most women do not provide fulfillment, do not provide long-term happiness. And this is why also the vast majority of antidepressant consumers are women that are aged above 40. Because when they realize that their careers do not bring fulfillment, when they compare with their peers that have decided to have a family, when they compare with their peers that have decided to have children, they can see that there's a huge difference between having cats at home and children. And it is very hard to comprehend how long life is. When you are in your mid-40s or early 40s, for most women, you're only halfway through your life. So if you do not make the right choices early, it means that you're going to spend another half of your life alone without husband and children. And this is why I say that women have to content with the choice very early on of finding a husband, having children, and also potentially starting a career. But I will give you an advice. Maybe it makes much more sense to prioritize finding a husband, prioritize having children, and then starting a career later on. I know someone that had children in her early 20s. Now that the kids are adults, she's in the late 30s and she can do whatever she wants. She can have a career, she can travel the world, and it is actually quite amazing to see. So if you make the right choices early on, then you have a different path. But this advice is also for men. Do not believe that being single and childless will bring you fulfillment. I always say that men and women are complementary. They are meant to be together and they are the most happy when they are together. But obviously you want to be with the right person.
What's a mistake you made in a relationship in the past you don't want to repeat?
In my last relationship, I was not following his lead. That was a mistake that I made.
Okay.
I follow my man's lead now, 100%.
Wait, I'm just curious. Why did you not want to follow his lead with the last guy?
I was young. I didn't know any better.
Did you buy into the idea of feminism that tells you be strong and independent, you don't need no man?
I more than likely did.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Fair enough.
It is very clear that you shouldn't buy into toxic ideologies like feminism. But it is also very clear that this woman is very wise. And it's rare to see some women that can look at their past and regret their past choices and accept and acknowledge what they've done wrong. So hats off to this woman for acknowledging that feminism has failed her. The advice I have is very simple. If you're a woman that wants a family, a husband and children, it is much better to commit early, so in your early 20s or mid 20s, than to wait until you're settled in your career, maybe in your mid 30s, before starting looking for a partner. If you're interested to see another viral video about Jordan Peterson completely destroying a feminist, click on the video above.